So, hello, folks. It is exactly 2:20 from the Rabos International Airport in Mangibi County, and we are coming to you live here at the Rabos International Airport, where His Excellency President Joseph Nyoma Boakai is arriving here from Addis Ababa in Ethiopia, and he's coming from attending the 38th AU summit, which was held a few days ago. So the president and his delegation are now arriving here at the Rabos International Airport. So stay with us. Spoon TV, and I'm Sylvester Chirople. We will run you a few points that the president made during that summit here at the Rabos International Airport while we bring you the president's arrival here. So yes, indeed, stay with us here as we uh, bring you the arrival of His Excellency President Joseph Nyoma Boakai. But in the meantime, if you are hearing us clearly and loudly, please let us know, because we try to work on our mark right here to know how effective it is here, the Rabat International Airport. So once we are good with the sound, we can move on. So during the 30th AU summit, the president, His Excellency President Boakai, urged African head of states to be united, and he's also called for a stronger Africa, the Africa that will have its own voice across the continent, a Africa that will um, be able to sustain itself when it comes to the economy, an Africa that will sustain itself when it comes to trade, an Africa that will sustain itself when it comes to security, an Africa that will come to itself when it comes to everything that a continent, can do to sustain itself sufficiently. So the president, why in that summit, the AU 30th summit, he interacted with several uh, African head of states, and also interacted with heads of private sectors or NGOs. And now here we come. His Excellency President Joseph Nyoma Boakai, as you can see, is now arriving home using the commercial flight, the Ethiopia airline, here at the Rabos International Airport. One thing the president calls for during his speech at the 38th AU summit was the reparation for Africans and African descendants. In a passionate speech, President Boakai addressed the historical injustices of colonialism and slavery. The president urged African leaders to push for global recognition and financial compensation for the lasting effects of slavery and colonial exploration. So that one makes the president's speech to be very strong, while calling for African liberation. Okay, so here comes His Excellency President Boakai, coming with the Ethiopia airline here. So what the president was on stage, the president did call for um, African unity, and also call for African head of state to support Liberia in the UN Security Council elections. Liberia is valid for a non-permanent seat at the UN Security Council. So African head of states gave their support to Liberia in making sure that Liberia can secure such a position at the global um, at the global stage, especially at the UN Security Council. So the president, after the summit, the president did meet the CEO of the Ethiopia's airline that you see here and discuss some issues of economic benefits in restoring direct flights to Liberia. All right, so um, for the past years, Ethiopia Airlines, stopped coming in Liberia, unlike a few months ago, where we are now seeing the resumption of Ethiopia Airlines here to Liberia. So able to meet the president was able to meet the CEO of the Ethiopian Airlines and discuss some potential issues in relation to economic benefits and trade between the two countries. But here we see the official vehicle of His Excellency President Boakai, who just arrived into the country from attending the 38th summit of the African Union. So it is good to note that the former president of Liberia, Her Excellency Madam Ellie Johnson Sirleaf, also attended that conference, and she applauded Liberia, specifically the Barker's administration for the positive steps taken so far by the administration in making sure that Liberia secures uh, a non-permanent seat at the UN. So the former president, or Excellency President, former President Ellie Johnson Sirleaf, she is a veteran international diplomat. And during that conference, she also interacted with other head of states in making sure to support Liberia bid. So she actually did applaud the Liberian government for those positive steps made in advancing on past government's effort. That's the immediate regime, which was headed by uh, ex-president George Weah in that regard. So, folks, stay with us as we bring you the um, arrival of His Excellency President Boakai and his delegate who have just touched down the soil of Liberia after attending the 38th summit of the AU in Addis Ababa. So, but while that is ongoing, we have to talk to the Deputy Presidential Press Secretary to give a more updates as it relates to the President's travel to Ethiopia. So, what can you like you to do yourself? Because I think it is the very first time appearing on our stream, Spoon TV, as the Deputy Presidential Press Secretary to His Excellency President Boakai. You could just introduce yourself and, of course, give us detailed updates about the President's trip in Ethiopia.
Well, my name is Joseph Alai. I'm the Deputy Presidential Press Secretary. The President trip basically has been focused on reinstating Liberia's position amongst the Pan-African nations. As you may be aware, in 2022, Liberia was suspended from the African Union due to lack of due payment. That was in 2022, we had an outstanding due of $1.9 million owed to the African Union at the time. So when the president came to be, he made it his business first to settle Liberia bilateral international obligations with all of our multinational organizations, from the Transcosia SG, which had to do with the energy and transfer from Ivory Coast, the ECOWAS Commission, and the African Union. So I can simply say that Liberia is debt free with the African Union as of this day. And this marks the president inaugural attendance of the African Union summit that was in Addis Ababa this year. And amongst the president's priority at the AU summit was to secure the AU support for Liberia's bid for a non-permanent seat at the United Nations Security Council. We successfully accomplished that. On the sideline, he met with the head of the African Development Bank, the African Bank for Agriculture also, which happened yesterday on the sideline of the AU summit. He met with Tony Illumini, who is also the head of the United Bank of Africa, the owner of UBA. So a lot was achieved while there. On the overall, conversation of the AU to talk about education, which was the theme of this year AU summit. They talk about ways to tackle poverty and reshape the Africa development model, especially emerging from the new U.S. Foreign aid measure on USAID fundings. They talk about ways to tackle instability, especially in Sub-Saharan Africa, with the emergence of several insurgent groups in Sub-Saharan Africa, in South Sudan, how to deal with the spillover of these armed conflicts within the African continent. So it has been a very cluster and a jam-packed schedule for the president while in Ethiopia. But amidst this all, he had a very successful trip because we secured the endorsement of the African Union for Liberia's bid for the non-permanent seat of the United Nations Security Council. Ordinary Liberians out there may want to think, what is the significance of Liberia securing a seat on the Security Council of the UN? Since the days of Andrew Brooks Banner, this is the most important seat that a Liberian or Liberia has had to push for at that body. So this is the very first. And then what this means for ordinary Liberians is that the government has a bigger platform and bigger opportunity to negotiate and to solicit funding that deal with the urgent needs and priorities of the country.
Thank you so much. That's Joseph Vala, the Deputy Presidential Press Secretary to His Excellency President Boakai. As you can see, these are the government officials who accompany His Excellency President Boakai. There you have the Minister of State with our portfolio, Minister Mamaka Belite, and here you have the presidential aide to the president, Terence Hoos, and other officials of government who accompany the president have just touched it down here. So yes, let's go. Never mind. So please, can you stay with us as we leave the commercial area of the airport, the Rabos International Airport. Now we are proceeding to the presidential lodge where the president will go and then prepare for town. So yesterday, can you stay with us, Spoon TV? I'm Sylvester Churople. I'm coming to you live from the Rabos International Airport. You are watching the arrival of His Excellency President Boakai and his officials of government, touching down the sword of Liberia from Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, where they had gone to attend the 38th AU summit. All right, so in the next split 1 minute, we will be getting down and capture the arrival of His Excellency President Boakai. We are making our way off of this bus to continue this live coverage here. All right, so here you actually have the Minister of State for Presidential Affairs, Minister Sylvester Grisby, and other officials of government who are here set to welcome His Excellency President Boakai here. So, so there comes His Excellency President Boakai leaving the commercial area of the airport, proceeding here to the Presidential Lodge here at the Rabos International Airport. So here the President will um, disembark his vehicle and have handshakes. There you have the Minister of State for Presidential Affairs, Minister Sylvester Grisby, and other officials of government who are here to officially welcome His Excellency President Boakai here. And so we now see the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Minister Sarah Beslo Nyanti. So there you have His Excellency President Boakai there, and His Excellency President Boakai. So indeed, folks, still folks, as we await the president to come out as usual and briefly speak to the media as it relates to his trip here. So we still have for us here the Deputy Presidential Press Secretary who was in flight
So part of what the president was saying was also to rebuild relationship between many of those African presidents and that of his leadership also, and enhance bilateral tie He also sought a support in the area of agriculture and trade, as well as enhancing the technical capability of Liberia businesses. So it has been a rewarding trip for the president in Addis Ababa. And Liberia is now debt-free with the EU. The deal is settled. Liberia secured the endorsement of the African Union for the non-permanent seat of the United Nations Security Council. So the trip has been, a fruitful one. Like I was saying, many Liberians out there want to know what is the benefit of Liberia having a seat, at the United Nations Security Council. What this does for the country is that it boosts the reputation of the government. It gives us a better negotiation space, especially in the competitive war. As you may be aware, there's an emergence of new global forces from the Arabs, the Chinese, the Europeans, and that of the Americans. So when I be a permanent member of the UN Security Council, it gives us a greater opportunity to talk across the aisle to all of these members of the separate global competing political powers. And that is going to boost not only our political clout, but also enhance economic and trade, which will have a trickle-down effect on the everyday people in the country. So it's very well important to let the people know that the government is seeking the support of not just a war, but the everyday Liberian people themselves for this position at the UN Security Council. We have, you know, done a great job at the AU. The president has succeeded in securing the endorsement of the African Union as a body. So next is, reaching out to other important organizations. You may be aware that the AU as a body has their largest voting bloc at the UN. So having the endorsement of the AU means that we have secured the largest endorsement that any country will need for a non-permanent seat of the UN Security Council. So we already have Ethiopia airline coming. Next is to focus on traffic inflow, which was also on the discussion, and then increase the employment of Liberians. The everyday people, you have Ethiopia airline coming, yeah, but you also want Liberians to be employed in the system. So this has been part of. It's not going to be a getaway or rather solid goal kind of conversation, but as sequential as it's going to be, it has a success tendency, and Liberians can be sure that Liberians will have their fair share of the economic benefit of Ethiopia airline coming to Liberia. Not just, on the traffic flow, but also in terms of economic opportunities like employment and trade advancement opportunities. This is very important because the African continent has to develop a new model of development. We have been aid dependent for many years, more than 100 years. Now, the donor nations are having reshapes of their own development model. So, our development pattern as a continent has to be tailored towards the challenges of the donor nations now. The donor nations themselves are confronted with the harsh realities of today's world, from insurgency to medical crisis to trade war and etc. But we, on the other hand, as the receiving end of the table, if we do not tailor our own development model towards the unity that support each other, we're going to have challenges in the next years ahead. So the president is basically focused on from the regional level to the continental level, fostering new trade agendas that favor the African continent as people. And that is what the president is out to do. And we are very confident that many African nations are also in line to make sure that we have a pro-Africa trade conversation that protects and seeks the interests of African nations. You say the president gave his inaugural address to the as president of the What this means for Liberia is that we are reseated at the Committee of Nations. You know, like I said previously, Liberia was suspended from the AU due to lack of due payment. Okay, it's an embarrassing thing to say, it's shameful to say, but it happened to us. In 2022, Liberia was suspended because we would not pay our due to these very important organizations. This due is settled. The president is back there. Liberia is a founding member of the African Union. For a founder of an organization to be suspended due to lack of due payment, it says a lot about the integrity and the reputation of such a system. This is corrected. It's our past now. We're moving ahead. There's an opportunity to tell Liberians that we're forging ahead. We've done a new chapter for the country development, and we have gotten our seat back among the respected nations on the African continent. And that is what the president is out to do, and he has done that. The president met with the Africa Fund for Agriculture, the leadership. They talk about ways to enhance the technical capability of the agriculture sector. It was high on the table. We talk about ways to provide opportunities for local farmers, small, agro enterprises, and lots more were discussed to provide financing and opportunity for the agriculture industry. And in the next months ahead, we can confirm that lots of important conversations are going to be held to advance these conversations.
All right, so he's Joseph Vala, the Deputy Presidential Press Secretary, giving us some updates as it relates to the president's uh, visit in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. All right, so we are posted, still awaiting the president to make his way out and have brief interaction with the media and tell the Liberian people as it relates to his recent trip in Addis Ababa and what do Liberians stand to benefit any good news from his trip here in Liberia. So please, can you stay with us? Joseph Vala, the Deputy Presidential Press Secretary, has just given us um, uh, a little detailed update from the president's trip. So we may post that here as here at the presidential lodge here. So can you stay with us as we all await the president to make a move to the media for a brief interaction. So yes, folks, stay with us. Just be reminded that you are watching the uh, arrival ceremony for His Excellency President Boakai and his officials of government from Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. And as we await the president to come forth to the media for a brief interaction, I continue to bring you some updates from the president's trip. All right. So one of the major things that the president did during that conference was the meeting with the president of the International Fund for Agricultural Development. And the president reaffirmed Liberia's commitment to agricultural transformation, seeking increased support for small household farmers and agriculture-based infrastructure development. And that's what the president doing a talk with the IFA president I mentioned. So another thing that discussion was on the aviation expansion with Ethiopian Airlines. President Boakai engaged Ethiopia Airlines president, CEO, and further discuss how often the Ethiopian flights will be coming to Liberia for the promotion of um, trade, investment, and so forth. And that actually is a good news for the people of Liberia too as well when it comes to the issue of aviation in the Bay Area. So please stay with us. We are still here, posted, waiting the president. Uh, I'm sure in the next 5 minutes or so, the president will be proceeding to the media for a brief chat, after which we shall be leaving this airport.